Good evening and welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbau, and the Ghana Football Association's referees manager, Alex Kote, has disclosed that the video assistant referee system will be introduced in Ghana football come next year, 2023. Speaking exclusively to Joy Sports, the veteran official explained that the whole process began in 2020, but finding funding and other constraints delayed its implementation.
We started the process last year with FIFA and CAF, but then somewhere when we got to a stage where now funding has to come in, we had to halt. Okay, now FIFA is also introducing a different technology. Because of Africa, he thinks that some African countries need to be supported in that area. And so, yes, we want to exploit all the avenues to ensure that the VR comes into fishing. In our sub-zone or in our sub-region, like Wafu Zone B, we are the only country that started the process. And so, for me, I think that if we are able to have it, I mean, it will be a big boost for the region.
In terms of time, how long should we expect it?
You know, I don't want to give timelines when it comes to funding.
But in estimating,
you understand? Yes, for me, I'm saying that give and take 2023, 2023, we should actually see it.
You should see VR in Ghana.
VR in Ghana.
All right.
VR in Ghana.
Yes, 2023, we are likely to see VR in Ghana. There is more of this interview tomorrow when the GPL primer comes off at 9 p.m. here on the Joy News channel with Muftar Nabila and I. But let's move on. And Black Stars coach Otto Addo has handed debut call-ups to 5 new players in his 29-man squad to face Brazil and Nicaragua in pre-World Cup friendly games in France and Spain, respectively. There is more in the following Joy Sports reports. Stars coach Otto Addo has named a 29-man squad to face Brazil and Nicaragua in pre-World Cup friendly games in France and Spain, respectively. Of these, 5 new players were handed a debut call-ups to the Black Star. Tariq Lamptey of Brighton Hove and Albion, Inaki Williams of Atletico Bilbao, Steven Ambrosius and Ransford Yeboah have all received invitations after recently switching nationalities to represent Ghana. Southampton's Mohamed Salisu, who has repeatedly turned down call-ups, has also been named in the squad. As a reward for his fine performances for the Black Galaxies in recent months, Heart of Folk winger Efrie Banier is the only Ghana-based player to be named in the squad. Other members of the squad include goalkeepers Richard Ofori, Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, Joseph Wallacott, and in defense Dennis Odoi, Ali Duseidu, Abdul Baba Rahman, Gideon Mensah, Alexander Jiku, Daniel Amate, and Joseph Edu. And in midfield, Thomas Partey, Idris Baba, Elisha Owusu, Daniel Kofitre, Mohamed Kudus, and Andre Ayew. And for wingers, Kamaldeen Suleiman, Ishaku Abdul Fattah, Usman Bukari, Jordan Ayew, and Antoine Semenyo. And for strikers, Felix Afenyajan and Benjamin Tete of Hull City. Ghana will face Brazil on September 23 in France before taking on Nicaragua in Spain 4 days later. The 2 games represent Otto Addo's penultimate chance to assess his squad ahead of naming the 26-man squad for the World Cup in November. So for those of you who could not catch up, let's just take a closer look at the Black Star squad a bit more in detail. And you can see there the goalkeepers Richard Ofori, who plays for Orlando Pirates, is in there. Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, who plays for KS Upin, and Joseph Wallacott, who plays for Charlton Athletic in England, is also there. And you get to the defenders, quite a number of players there. Dennis Odoi, who plays for Club Brugge, Tariq Lamptey, who plays for Brighton Hove and Albion, Ali Duseidu for Clermont Foot in France, Abdul Baba Rahman, Reading there, and Gideon Mensah, who plays for Auxerre, Alexander Jiku, Racing Strasbourg, Mohamed Salisu, making his debut for the Black Stars there, who plays for Southampton, and Daniel Amate of Leicester City, Joseph Edu, Celta Vigo, and Steven Kofi Ambrosius of Calcera there. And in midfield, you have Thomas Partey. He's injured, but is expected to be available by the time the Black Stars take on Brazil and Nicaragua. Baba Idrisu is also in there, plays for Real Mallorca, Elisha Owusu of KA Gent, and Daniel Kofitre also is recovering for Freiburg, and Mohamed Kudus also there for Ayas, Andre Dede Ayew, who scored a goal today is also there for outside in midfield. And for the wingers, Kamaldeen Suleiman, Star Rene, Daniel Efriye-Banye, Heart of Folk winger, the darling boy of Accra Heart of Folk fans, and Abdul Fattah Isahaku, playing for Sporting Lisbon in Portugal, and Usman Bukari, who is on form at the moment, Red Star Belgrade, Ransford Yeboah, also there for Hamburger, and Jordan Ayew, Crystal Palace, Antoine Semenyo, also for Bristol City, making up the wingers. And as far as the strikers are concerned, Inaki Williams, yes, Inaki Williams is making his debut for the Black Stars, playing for Athletic Bilbao after switching nationality, and Felix Afinyajan also after making his move from AS Roma to Cremonese is also there, and Benjamin Tete, who plays for Hull City, is there. Meanwhile, Black Stars assistant coach George Boateng has urged locally based players to fight for their positions in the Black Stars. Heart of Folk Daniel Efriye-Banye was the only locally based player named in the squad for the September 23 friendly against Brazil. And the assistant coach is urging local players to do their very best to make a good account of themselves when they are called to the Black Stars.
Whenever we do selection for a camp, for games, we are always considering local players, always. And we always say to the local players, if you come to the Black Stars, please come with the Black Stars, thinking that you are also good enough to be there, because we've done our homework. And sometimes maybe they are nervous, which I understand, because to some of the local players, if you see Thomas Partey, you see Mohamed Kudus, we have players from Jiku, Daniel Amate in the Premier League, Kufichre in the Bundesliga. So I can understand these boys watch those players on TV, and then all of a sudden you end up being in the same dressing room as them. But we as staff, it's down to us to give the players a lot of confidence that you are good enough, you can do it, and you have to try your best. Give your best, because you are not here to make up numbers. You are here, you are part of the team. And I have to say, one or two that have come with us are edging closer to stay with us also for a longer period.
Well, as you may know already, Heart of Folk Daniel Efriye-Banye is the only locally based player in Ghana's squad for the Brazil and Nicaragua friendlies. Join us via Zoom for analysis, Ghana Premier League expert Felix Roma. Felix, good evening, and thanks so much for joining us this evening. Now, let's talk a bit about Daniel Efriye-Banye. I mean, why does he deserve this call-up?
His form is clearly, I think his form has really brought him closer to the senior national team. And I think that talk about form consistency as well. You look at his transition. He captained the under-20 team to the WAFO Championship, went on to captain the same team in the African Championship in Cameroon, where they won it. Unfortunately for COVID, they couldn't play at the under-20 World Cup. And then again, the call-up into the Chan team. And you look at how important the roles he played in helping Ghana book qualification to the tournament in Nigeria. But aside that, I think that you look at his performance, especially when Boadu came to Accra Hearts of Folk. This is a player who, for the last 2 seasons, have won about 4 trophies for Accra Hearts of Folk. And I think that his hard work and consistency has really gotten him closer to the national team. And I'm not surprised that a lot of people are calling for his inclusion on that plane to Qatar if the final list comes out. I
mean, let's talk about Qatar, of course. You're one of those who have made that very strong point that he should be included in the squad for Qatar 2022. But, I mean, will you consider this, the friendly against Brazil and Nicaragua, a justifier of a sort for him to make a claim in the squad for Qatar?
I don't think that he needs to justify why he should be called up. I think that so far as he's been called up, it means that he's already doing something great. When it comes to the national team, you might not get a lot of time, a lot of minutes on the field to convince your manager. But I'm sure that your performance with the local blasters, with your club side, will surely be the reason why you get a look into the national team. And I must say that this, for all the call-ups that has come out when talk of the blasters, this particular one is of great importance for any player that really wants to be on the plane to Qatar, in the sense that these crucial friendly games would be the final slot for any player who wants to really convince the coach. So if you happen not to find your name in this list, it means that your chances of making it to the World Cup would be very, very slim. And I'm very delighted and happy that for nothing at all, we have at least one, local-based player who deserves to be on the list, and I'm hoping that he'll be given equal opportunity, just like the remaining, players on the list or on the Otuado's list. So I'm hoping that he won't just go there and go and add up to the numbers or go and train just like the other local-based players who have had previous call-outs, but this time around, he would be able to get opportunity to play and show the coaches that in a setup like the senior national team, he can equally do the things that he's doing with the local Blasters or the Black Galaxies, as well as his team, Accra Hearts of Oak.
One of the things George Boateng spoke about is the mindset of the players when they get to the Black Stars, particularly the local players. And so it speaks to the kind of mindset the Free Banya should have going into the Black Stars squad for that Brazil game. What kind of mindset will you, if you're a manager, you're the manager of Efri Banya, what will you tell him in terms of the mindset he should have going into this friendly?
I think that for a local-based player, it is very important that you need to psych yourself up, especially as the player. You need to psych yourself up. No matter what your agent, your manager, or even your club coach will tell you, individually, you need to tell yourself that these are players, these are normal players like myself. I can equally do what they are doing. It's because of their club form or whatever they are doing something good. That is why they've been called up. So it means that for me to get opportunity to be part of this team, I am equally as good. So you need to first psychologically psych yourself up before anything else. But I'm sure and I'm hopeful that, from the club aspect, because if Bane should make the finalists to the World Cup, Hearts of Oak financially would benefit from that huge FIFA fund that is given to players or clubs that have their players participating in the World Cup. So it won't be bad at all if the club, provide him with a psychologist to psych him up so that he'll be able to make up, he'll be able to be included in the final call-up. But
Felix,
I'm sure that...
Felix, just finally, is there any local-based player that you thought possibly should have maybe added, been added alongside Free Banya in that squad?
To be very honest with you, I think that I was hoping that Danlad would be given a look in, but you look at the available goalkeepers, it would always be difficult for Danlad. But he's very young. There'll be a couple of more World Cups ahead of him. So I'm hoping that later, maybe he'll be looking to get an opportunity to play for the Blasters. But I was expecting him and then Barnier to make up the finalists. But you look at the goalkeeping option available to the coach, I don't think that anybody will fault them if they don't call up Danlad. But if you ask me, any player alongside Barnier, I will always make a case for a player like Danlad.
Felix, thanks so much for your time, and we'll definitely continue this conversation, particularly as the Ghana Premier League is kicking off this weekend, and tomorrow the GPL Primer is also coming off. We'll have more as far as analysis about some of these local players is concerned. But the GFA president, Kete Kweku, is the one who has been speaking, and he's been addressing the Black Galaxies. He's telling them to be proud of the achievement after beating Nigeria to next year's CHAN tournament.
We remember that 2-3 perhaps attempts some few years ago, we couldn't make it. And you guys have made it this time. Each one of you should be proud of your achievement and the achievement of this team. Today, I was with Coach Prosper during the funeral service of his late dad. And the only request he made was that he'll be extremely happy if this team makes it beyond this game. Indeed, you have made it. And I'm sure wherever Prosper will be at this time, and wherever his dad will be lying at this time, he'll be resting in peace because of this singular act. Aiko. Again, let me thank Coach Anawaka. I remember the day I invited him to my office and I said to him that he's going to lead this team. It was that he'll be extremely happy if this team makes it beyond this game. Indeed, you have made it. And I'm sure wherever Prosper will be at this time, and wherever his dad will be lying at this time, he'll be resting in peace.
Now, Hearts of Oak board chairman Togbe after the assistant has disclosed that the club is not in a rush to appoint a new chief executive officer. The Phobians are yet to appoint a new CEO since the departure of Frederick Moore. He was addressing the club fans at Deba in Kumasi.
When we get the best person to appoint a CEO, we will appoint him. But we will not rush to take any wrong decisions. We have had CEOs in the past, but they always came to the board for money. You know that. And many of them, because they could not put in place strategies to raise money, they could not come forward with new ideas because those new ideas required money.
That's the way after speaking there. And we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we have more for you here on Prime Sports. Welcome back. And the organizers of the FIFA World Cup have agreed to a policy with local officials in Qatar to serve beer at stadiums and fan zones despite laws restricting the sale of alcohol in majority Muslim nations. Fans will be allowed to purchase beer within the stadium compound before and after the games, as well as during the games. During the official FIFA Fan Festival at night. Gary Al-Smith is in Doha, Qatar, and shared some details with us.
With a lot of relief, around the world, because football fans see these sporting events, mega events, as downtime to come and relax, enjoy themselves, like you said, and to get themselves entertained. And entertainment goes with some level of sometimes non-sobriety. They like to have some alcohol in the system, or in their moments of happiness when their teams have won, they want to down some alcohol. In their moments of sadness, when they have been trounced, they want some alcohol as well. So you can imagine that people are very, very excited about it. But the local population seem to have been expecting it because, the indigenous Qatari population is not that large, and so it will not be such a big deal for them. And the background to this is that Budweiser, which is the beer sponsor or the beverage sponsor, as they call themselves, of the World Cup, and they have been since 1986, have always wanted a certain level of ROI, return on investment, and they push FIFA, quote, to get the states to make things a bit easier for them to have alcohol in the various facilities. I'll cast your mind back to the 2014 World Cup, Nathaniel. Brazil, as you know, has a really serious violence problem when it comes to large crowds. So for a long time, before the World Cup was held, they were not allowing alcohol in stadia. But come the World Cup, they had to pass legislation at the highest level, at the parliamentary level, and the Senate level, to be able to allow alcohol to be sold, to some extent for those 3.5 weeks or so of the tournament. So it's not new that FIFA is using its power to lean into the host country to get what they want.
That's what we draw the curtains on today's edition of Prime Sports. Of course, Chelsea has been beaten. PSG is leading against Juventus. Manchester City is winning. And there's lots of goals Haaland is scoring. But for me, Razak Musbau, Nana Asari Bediako, Kwame Banaya, and the entire Joy Sports team do have a wonderful evening.